Hello and welcome to PC Mag's One Cool Thing. I'm Matthew Buzzy, this is Zach Cuevas, and we're here with a really interesting, cool monitor. Not quite ready for prime time, not quite on sale yet, but it's so cool and unique that we had to show it to you really as soon as we could. This is the Corsair Xeneon Flex. Aside from its giant size, and the name kind of does give away the prize here, aside from the giant size, the amazing specs, the high resolution, all that, the big trick, Zach, if you want to just demonstrate it right off the bat here, is its flexibility. This is a bending monitor that starts flat in its default state, but is, as you can see, curvable. I know that probably strikes you as wrong, as unnatural. It has handles to curve itself, and that's a pretty steep curve. You can see that.
Right.
That went from flat to a really sharp, steep angle here.
Right. So this Corsair monitor actually starts out flat and can curve up to 800 millimeters. That's actually a pretty tight curve. Recently, the giant Samsung Odyssey Arc had 1,000 millimeter curve, and I remember we were talking that we concluded that might have been too big, but this is even tighter. But that is perfect for people who like simulation games and shooters and want to fully immerse themselves.
My cockpit and my flight sim, whatever it is. So yeah, obviously that's the big main draw here, but let's back up, talk about the size of the display in general, and the resolution and all that good stuff.
Right. So 45 inches. So it's a pretty
bendable and curving aside, that is a big monitor.
That's a pretty big monitor. It is an ultra wide, so it's 21:9. It has a 21:9 aspect ratio, 3,440 by 1440p. So it's a 2K monitor. It's not quite 4K, but it does have a couple of cool gaming features. It's got two HDMI 2.1 ports, a display port, and a couple of USBs along the stand. There are a couple of ports up front, two more USBs, and easy access to input. So if you are the type of gamer that has like a big setup, consoles, PC, you can switch back and forth pretty easily. And of course, this monitor curved to whatever genre you're playing. So, hey, I'm playing a strategy game. I need as much screen as possible.
So that's my next question. It's not all or nothing. There are curving stopping points in between flat and the maximum bend. Okay.
So, snap it all the way back. You've got a full screen for whatever game you're playing. That looks
relatively easy. Tell me what you're doing there, because I see there's buttons on these handles, so you have to squeeze and then bend.
So you don't have to squeeze to bend. These actually tuck away when you're not using
it's to retract the handles. Okay, that's kind of neat, because they are a little distracting. So
yeah,
it is nice.
And then there's a great handle here. This can't be retracted, but this tilts the monitor up and down.
Got it.
So you've got some pretty healthy tilt here, which is nice.
So even bending aside, obviously the resolution, the refresh rate, all that stuff.
Yeah, 240.
This is a very high-end monitor to begin with, and the size, ultra-wide, like that's an enthusiast monitor. You add in the bending, and this is obviously a very high-end, also avant-garde. Let's be honest. I mean, the fact that this is not quite clear when this is going to come out, still in development. I understand the price is even fluctuating.
The price has fluctuated right now. They're looking at about $2,000, and they're expecting to release this sometime next year. So look forward to that. But right now, what we've got is pretty impressive. Me personally, I don't often find myself looking for a curved monitor when I'm jumping between games. But for the persnickety gamer, you have it flat out for strategy games. You tilt it slightly for a shooter. You tilt it even more for a simulator. And there is an audience for these type of monitors in the simulation community.
And curved in and of itself has kind of the adoption's come pretty far. I had one for a while. I went back to a flat. I was actually just saying, when I went back from my curve to a flat monitor, my eyes played a trick on me for a few days. It looked like the monitor was bent, and I couldn't shake it. It was the most weird. I had to look it up so to make sure I wasn't going crazy. This apparently is a thing. So I hope that doesn't happen with this. As you use it and shift it back in between the two, you start to fool yourself.
Your brain might blow. But it is really cool. Just the accessibility of it. It's very easy to do.
See, there's kind of arm hinges back here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So if you look at the back of the monitor, there's actually a hinge. And that, you can actually push maybe this one side out, but you can see the hinge bending. So yeah, the first time I did this, you heard that, I don't know if you heard that snap, but I thought I broke it. I didn't. And it might feel like you're breaking it because this is a very unnatural movement.
And you definitely have to tug on it. Like it doesn't look like it's it's smooth, but it requires some force.
My biggest complaint right now is that I feel like I am maybe putting a little too much force on it, but I haven't broke it yet. And Corsair promises at least a few lifetimes worth of curves.
That was my main question, because with the folding phones, we've got a couple Windows devices that fold. The obvious concern is, lifespan.
Right.
Wear and tear, doing that over and over. You might not be moving this as much as you would a laptop or a phone, because you open and close those all day long. This you might move once a day. You might even not touch for a week. You might just leave it where it is. You find your preferred angle. But wear and tear, I think it's kind of impossible to get away from. Even if Corsair is right and they assure this, it's a little hard to get away from that psychological, like, I feel like I'm breaking. Every time I move it, I feel like I'm wearing on this expensive product.
And you are.
To be clear. It just might live longer than you anyway.
Exactly. And once you get used to bending and snapping the monitor, it's pretty easy to do. The visual, you see the image doesn't
really trippy.
change. It is a bit like, it is trippy to see, but the image itself is not affected by
There's no
the
weird
flex.
resolution.
Exactly. There's no
adaptation,
resolution, quirks or anything like that.
I will also notice from the steep side angle, so with those phones and some of the Windows devices, you can kind of see in the center where the hinge is. There's like this little indent ripple, and in the film over the screen, it kind of catches the light in a weird way. It does do a good job. There's some reflection for sure, but it does a good job getting rid of that, which would kind of be unacceptable in a monitor.
I know, especially in a monitor, it's $2,000.
Yeah, that'd be a no-go. Yeah. So as far as I see from this angle, which might not be as clear on camera, there's no obvious indent. So that's a thumbs up.
And 240 hertz. This is a monitor for the enthusiasts. You want to crank up your frame rates. You're playing a bunch of different games on it. So if you've got $2,000 to spend, this would be a potential monitor that meets every genre need.
Right. Even the specs and then the flexibility of, obviously, enthusiasts should be a given with the price and the sort of early adopter nature of this whole thing. But yeah, someone who is dedicated to their gaming setup would be the one to go for this. We're not going to pretend like the average person is going to go for this.
Well,
monitor.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, even though it is a gaming monitor, it doesn't have the gaming monitor trappings of big RGB lights or anything like that.
Yeah, it's pretty plain, which is
maybe
better.
I think that there's been a shift away from RGB lighting recently. A lot of products have very limited or none at all. I don't think that's a big loss. In fact, I think a lot of people I think the people who care about a 240 hertz refresh rate don't care necessarily about the RGB lighting of their monitor.
I think for a while they were getting thrown onto everything, as well as some red geometric accents on everything. I think we hit the limit on that, and then the feedback kind of was received, and that kind of cranked it back a little bit. So yeah, this is a pretty plain. Obviously, it's going to take up a massive amount of your desk.
Yeah, 45
space.
inches. Yeah.
The stand takes up a lot of depth in addition.
Just curve it.
Curve it away. So yeah, this is a commitment to be sure. Obviously, and also not available yet. So we're talking hypothetically, but
there are a few caveats to consider. For one, there's no speakers.
Yeah, talk to me about the cons.
So there are no speakers at all. You see Hitman here. There's no audio on it. There's no pivot. You can't turn it.
Portrait mode this?
This is portrait mode for you. So there is no portrait mode. Oh.
Pointing that just at the camera a little
more. There is no portrait mode. You cannot mount this. You can't take it off and mount it against the wall. Though these things, while they are, I guess, cons,
it's kind of like,
they're like, how many people are mounting a curved monitor? How many people are, I will say the portrait mode is a bit of a loss, but again, having the space to do that.
You could feel like you're in a spaceship.
I mean,
if it was portrait and it curved in over you.
That was kind of the draw of the giant Samsung Odyssey Arc. So there is no pivot or cockpit mode for that. But
the stand would have to be really tall.
It would have to be really tall, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. There's no height adjustment either.
Oh.
So there's just this tilt.
Okay, so those are fairly noteworthy cons.
Things to consider, but also you can understand why these things were dropped when making this. I mean, a flexible monitor this thin is pretty impressive. Where would I put the speakers?
Yeah, I would. If you told me this was Visa mount compatible, I would have been very surprised, for example.
Right, exactly.
But it is pretty cool. I mean, this is the sort of thing that starts out at this very high-end, kind of experimental product. And
Yes.
ideally, if it catches on at least, sort of trickles down to more mainstream products.
Right,
Probably
right.
still
More
enthusiast and still expensive.
Consumer
But
level
they
stuff.
don't all need to be that big, that expensive, 2 or 3 years from now if this catches on.
Exactly. And I mean, so far, no major blemishes. We will have a review up soon. Response time's been great. No screen tearing. There is G-Sync on this.
The picture quality in person is very good. The scene is definitely a little dark.
It's a little dark.
But the blacks also are really popping on it.
Well, right. That's a testament to Hitman's HDR implementation.
Mm-hmm. What a nice plug.
Paid
by Big Hitman.
Big IO. No, but seriously, it looks great so far. I haven't run into any major issues outside of the few that I've listed so far. And I guess just who is this for? It's something you always have to consider when you're shopping for a monitor. There are plenty of great monitors for lower prices, but not many of them bend and snap quite like the Corsair Xeneon Flex.
Indeed. Well, stay tuned for that review that Zach mentioned. It will be available on PCMag.com to go along with this. And stay tuned also for launch details, pricing in the future of when this thing is actually available if it did catch your eye, which is pretty easy to do at this enormous size. I'm Matthew Buzzy. This is Zach Cuevas, and this is PCMag.com. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.